big sleepy puppy. Hey, hello. Hello, everybody. It is John and Pippin, and we're looking at, well, today's the 1st of January 2022, and I'm looking at, with the holidays and with quite a lot of people having time off from work, I've gotten more games than I normally get to play. So I thought I would share with you some of the games that I have played. How are you? Are you okay now? He's been running around out in the rain. It's raining, and it's pleasantly cool as well. Some parts of Australia have been quite warm, but here in Queensland, certainly here in Brisbane anyway, it is quite pleasant. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to fall, and I'm quite sure we'll get sweltering heat. Well, actually, the heat doesn't worry me. It's the bloody humidity that does me in, but I can live with it. I don't need an air conditioning unit to survive. I can do quite well in high temperature, which is most unusual for somebody who, as they mad dogs and Englishmen, as Noel Coward used to sing. But because in my youth, I would go around with a tie and suit in summer, and it wouldn't worry me. But today, yes. All right, I'm digressing, aren't I? Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Smiling on the inside. Sorry, smiling on the outside, crying on the inside. Games that I have played in the last week. Now, I'm adding this game to my to acquire. I need to acquire, and this is Rajas of the Ganges. Ganges? Yes. It is I guess it's a worker placement tile or dice management and developing your estate with tiles. So you're putting tiles down on a board that you've got, and you have dice that you roll that give you values, and you're trying to get the dice values to equal the values that you need to be able to buy the tiles to put down into your estate that you're building, and you need the dice numbers to equal values that you can use within, I think the palace. I can't quite remember. And then you need dice values to move up the river. Oh, it's really, really good. I quite liked the game. But the only thing I found very strange was the determination of when the game ends, which is when your money value, or how much money that you've got, passes your fame, I think it is. There's two values anyway. Once both of them meet, or one passes the other, the game ends, or the first person who does so, and that person's the winner. So it's quite a good game, and so I've decided to add Raja of the Ganges to my must acquire if I can ever get it. Yes, it's quite a good game, and it plays 2 to 4 players. It's got a rating of 7.7 on Board Game Geek, and it has a ranking of 144. Yeah, so there you go. Another game that we played, and this is from the Let's Play What's Sitting on John's Shelf that we've not played before, was Imhotep. And that was one about, I guess, shipping your big blocks on ships down to, I think, 5 locations in the down the Nile. So you got the market, I think a temple, burial chamber, obelisk, and something else I can't remember anyway. But you're putting your blocks that are unique to your colour on a boat, and when you put it down, like obviously anybody else can, as long as there's a slot available on the boat, can also put their own brick down. But while you may say, for instance, monopolise a boat with all your coloured bricks, somebody may decide to, with their action, send the boat off and send it somewhere that you don't want it to go. And therefore you're forced to take whatever actions come from whatever location that it's sent to. So there's a lot of, do I, don't I sort of mechanism in the game. And I found that really, really interesting. I quite liked Imhotep. And it's a game that plays 2 to 4 players. It has a rating of 7.2. And its ranking was 443. So Imhotep, that's in my collection. Quite happy with that. Then we went on and played Wayfinders, another one from my collection that has been sitting and languishing for quite some time. And that one is where you've got a whole heap of resources that you've got to pick up and manage as you fly your seaplane around the islands. So we had all sorts of plane noises and me going dakka, 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 and wishing that we had were able to shoot down opponents' aircraft and all sorts of silliness. I think we were getting a little bit stir crazy perhaps as we were playing the game. But there was petrol and tyres and all sorts of bits and pieces that you needed to build a hangar on the islands. And the islands, when you built your hangar, got you the victory points for each of the locations. And some of the locations gave you more victory points depending on what islands you had. So it was an interesting game. I don't know whether or not some of the guys liked the game. Personally, I think they played it, but whether or not they'd ever come back and play it again, I really don't know. So, but at least now I know how the game plays. So if anybody ever says, "Hey, have you played Wayfinders?" I can go, "Yes," and I know how to play it now. And probably in God knows how many months' time, when we go to play it again, I'll go, "I have no idea how to play this," which is usually what happens. Oh man, I tend to forget. So, but it's a game for 2 to 4 players. It's got a rating of 6.6, and its rank is 4,629. Quite far down the list. Another one that came from my collection that we played was Hadrian's Wall. I've been wanting to play this for quite some time. I think I might have mentioned it in a previous video, but it's played over 6 rounds. You have a card is drawn which shows the number of resources that are globally available to every player. Then you draw 2 cards. One generates what the victory points are that you can earn, and the other is one that generates additional resources that are unique to yourself and provide, I think, a scouting and trading option available. So it's really just using the resources to mark off on your tableau, and as you mark things off, they release more meeples, which create more options and more availability, and it sort of snowballs from there. So as you start marking off, you suddenly find, oh look, I'm getting more people, and then you end up with more people, and you're there going, well, I can't use any of these people to do anything with, and you go, oh, okay. But look, honestly, it is really good. It's nice the fact that it's not a roll and write. It's I guess a draw and write. So you're drawing cards, and then you're drawing cards at the end of the round to see where the Picts, or as we call them, Rod Stewart's ancestors, come storming across the wall. That's for people who can remember Rowan Atkinson's Blackadder skits. Will remember reference to that. People probably don't even know about that one anymore. But yes, it's a really good game. I quite like it, and great to play solo. It plays 1 to 6 players. It has a rating of 8.1, so quite popular, and it's got a rank of 699. Then another one that I have played this week is The King is Dead. I've had this for a while, and that is where it's an interesting game in the fact that it's played for 8. You've got 8 turns, and you've only got 8 cards, and a card allows you to perform an action which allows you to move cubes that represent the 3 factions, which are the English, the Welsh and the Scots, around the board of England. And it allows you to move them around. So you don't actually control a faction per se, because in the end it's coming down to how many of the cubes of the colours you have in your own court that determines who wins. So in the end, when you perform an action with a card, you get to pull a meeple, you get to pull a cube of whatever colour you like off the board. And that goes into your court. So obviously the more colours, the more cubes of one colour you have, obviously the greater dominance you have for one court in particular. And obviously the people with the most in one court win, and ties, etc., are worked out accordingly. So it's a very, very interesting mechanic, and it plays, I think, quite well. It's a very cunning, very tight game. So really good. I quite like it. It plays 2 or 4. I believe it can play 3, but I really don't know how well, because they don't really explain a 3-player game in the game. It's got a rating of 7.9, and its rank is 689 on Board Game Geek. So quite good. The next one is Targi. Targi is the last game I will talk about, and it is one of... how can I best explain it? You have a grid of... what is it, a 4x4? I think it's... no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... must be a 5x5 grid. Yeah, 5x5 grid, I think. 5x5 grid, where you have actions that are on the outside, and you have 3 Targi, which are your workers, and 2, I suppose, decision meeples, or little cylinders. Anyway, so what happens is that you place your Targi down on the outer cards, except for the corners. You can't place them on the corners. And you place them down, and once you've placed each of your Targi, where they intersect on the inner grid is where you place your cylinder, and that is the card that you get to action. And you're all about trying to get the tribal cards, and the tribal cards, the person who gets the first to build 12, or the game ends when you get to the 4th raid card. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, or the game ends on the 4th raid card is where that ends. So it is a really interesting, fun game. I almost won, but Pat pipped me by 1 point in the end. If I hadn't have lost, didn't have resources at the end. Didn't have the resources at the end to not lose the 2 victory points I needed. So damned if I do and damned if I didn't. But it was, I quite like Targi. I was quite pleased to be able to get a copy a couple of weeks, or a few weeks ago now, I think. But yeah, so it's only a 2-player game, which I guess is disappointing, but again, it's still good. It's a really good 2-player game. It has a rating of 7.6, and its rank is 127. Yeah. So look, they were the games that I have played this week. just before the beginning of 2022, and his lordship's gone to sleep. He's quite comfortable. He's gone to sleep, and my leg has gone to sleep. So I'm not going to be able to move now. So thank you everybody for watching, and till next time, signing off, the Honourable John.